Welcome to Power Fridays Live, the channel that aims to make a difference in the world through transformation, spiritual growth, and for entrepreneurs. Our vision is to empower individuals to live their lives with purpose and to make a positive impact on the world. We believe that power and purpose are the driving forces behind success and fulfillment in both personal and professional life. Through our broadcast, we discuss business strategies and techniques that can help entrepreneurs achieve their goals and take their business to the next level. We believe that through sharing knowledge and experience, we can empower each other to succeed and make a difference in the world. Now here's our host, Janelle Pulley.
Hi, good evening. How are you doing? Welcome to Power Fridays Live. And I'm very excited to be here with my good dear friend, Greg Lloyd. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing very good this evening.
Wonderful. Well, I know we talked the last time and we said we needed to have a part 2 for your conversation. And this is April, National Financial Literacy Awareness Month. And the information that you have researched, that you have gleaned, and you created an empire that we'll talk about later that I look forward to you sharing with us. So can let's recap and, share about, we're talking about the business plan for a parallel economy. Tell us a little bit about yourself and explain what that could be.
Well, primarily I'm an investment designer or economic designer. And what I do is I look at various aspects of economics as opposed to looking at various aspects of an economy. When I look at economics, I look at the science of economics, and this is behavioral science. It determines the economy. A lot of people say, define an economy. I think you sent me something over about people being able to form their own economy to protect them from tariffs and situations like that. That's not realistic. You can form your business, and your business can be one that produces and distributes goods and services that may or may not be impacted by the tariffs. That depends on the business model that you have. As far as forming your own economy, you just can't do that. Just like you can't get someone to do some group economics and then black people form their own economy separate apart from the U.S. economy. That's not realistic. It's not realistic because before you even move into thinking about things like that, people need to understand there's over 3,000 economic terms, and purchasing power misrepresented as GDP is not one of them. People need to understand the difference between purchasing power, need to understand the difference between GDP. You have a lot of movements where you get a lot of optics. I think Roland Martin was going on and on about how some of the house appraisals were being undervalued in certain areas for blacks, and the whites right down the street had the same type of home, but they got a larger appraisal. Now, in that particular situation, you are absolutely supposed to go after those people and get your proper home evaluation, no problem. And then but if you move that and say, well, black neighborhoods, when we take in consideration the amenities, the size and square footage of the homes and things, and then we compare that to white neighborhoods, then all of a sudden we got a misevaluation of about 20 to 30%. That is absolutely false. The thing is that you didn't put in anything associated with economic behavior. You're not going to find white neighborhoods that are going to have the same crime rate. You just not. You're not going to have a whole lot of shooting going on there. You just not. You got behavioral situations from cultural aspects that are entirely different. You must calculate those in. And let's say that for whatever reason being, we want to be better people than what we really are. Then the problem with that is this. Let's say that you have a house and it's $250,000, or appears to be. You get a better evaluation on it, and boom, now it's worth $325,000. That's great for you, but who's going to move in it? You got to keep in mind, the debt ratios required to move in that house is past what the majority of the people are going to be able to pay. The credit requirement is above what they're going to need that they have to pay for the house. So what ends up happening is that's great. You got a great evaluation, but who's going to actually buy the house? Because no one's going to move into a neighborhood where a person that lives next door to you, and no, that's nothing against them, but they're on Section 8. They don't have the same ideas and philosophies that you fought to get your home for. and people just not going to pay that premium to live there.
Right.
And
Well,
not
you
only that, you're just not going to have the people that'll be able to move. The people that could move in your $250,000 house no longer can.
well you
You have a
see the
325.
Well, you're seeing now the gentrification of neighborhoods. I know specifically in the Northwest Atlanta area. So believe that, we're looking at, yes, homes, the year, age, and model of the homes. And a lot of people are now going back to, oh, I want to live into an older home for the characteristics. And then you're looking at people dying out of the communities, and they're not leaving that home to their loved ones. And it is going to the courthouse steps. So, what do you say about those situations where you have an investor that comes in and gets that home that wasn't left behind, toward creating that generational wealth for the family and the community?
First of all, homes don't create generational wealth. People need to stop saying that because that's not even realistic. Give you a perfect example of this concept. I use $250,000 value ratio based on the average income that blacks have, based on the average overall credit ratings that they have, and based on the overall debt ratios that they have, and the projected interest rate that they're going to get for their particular house. That's going to have them at $1,800 a month with taxes and insurance on that home, living in that $250,000 house. That's why I use that example. And people, I don't do the whole exception to the rule shit. That's what it is. Okay. Now,
Right.
no one can dispute any of that data. That's indisputable data.
And this
So,
is financial literacy. So I
right.
appreciate you doing your homework.
So, with that $1,800 a month, you will spend $648,000 for that $250,000 house. So, people willing to accept that they almost spend between 2.5 to 3 times what the house costs. You say, good, but I still own my home. Well, these are some other additional factors that you have to put into that. You're going to spend about $100,000 on the upkeep of that home. Chances are, when you bought that $250,000 house, it was not brand new. It's going to need work. It's going to need roofing. It's going to need various things over that 30 years. So it don't hit you real hard, but it hits you consistently over a period of time. So now you have $748,000 for a $250,000 house. The next thing you have to be concerned about is that what is my appraisal rates going on average? Am I my property appraising at 5% per year? Absolutely not. Is it appraising at 4? No, it's not. It's appraising at about 2. The problem that you have with it appraising at about 2% is that inflation is going at 2.5%. Now, when everything all said and done, you don't pay $750,000 for a house that's going to appraise in 30 years for $453,000. Not that bad. Skip the whole concept of inflation, which means that if it had been doing it at inflation, it would have been worth $100,000 more. But we don't look at inflation. Investors look at it. Investors look at this particular investment has a 1.69% negative interest rate per year. And we consider this, and this is the sad thing about it. By the time that my mother passed, I was close to 60 years old. I'm the oldest of my 3 brothers. We are separated by 3 years. All of us, if we ain't got our life together, and putting things together and waiting on my mom to die to get a house, that's ridiculous. It won't have enough equity to split 5, 6, 7 ways, or however many ways you want it to split. You will have to sell it in order to do that. No one wants to keep that in a home, especially if the neighborhoods are deteriorating. So the concept that I'm going to have all this wealth associated with a home is a fallacy. And that's one of my biggest concerns about financial literacy. Financial literacy helps poor people to manage poverty. 40% of us are financially literate. Okay. Most of us became financially literate, not most of us, but many of us through A.L. Williams and Prime America some 40 plus years ago. We already know about buy term investing different. We already know how to put money directly on the principal of the house to bring it down and to pay it for it early. We know about annuities. We know about mutual funds. So there are a lot of things that we know already, but see, financial literacy alone is
Yes.
only going to increase GDP by less than 1% for every 15% of the people. So we're at 40% now. So that we got another 60 to go. So that's 4 15s, and we're probably going to increase GDP by 2%. That's the way it is. Now, I believe financial literacy the way I believe in doctors and lawyers and everybody else. You hire a professional.
Period.
Period. You hire a professional. I mean, if you don't know how to take care of your basic books, I mean, yeah, you can take some courses on that just to how to pay your bills, but you're still not going to do it. You have an MPC, which is a mean propensity to consume amongst Black Americans at 0.90 to 0.95. That means 90 to 95% of our money goes on consumption. That is not going to change. That is an economic behavioral fact. It will take for a society or a culture to change. It takes anywhere between 80 to 100 years for
Well,
responsibility.
looking at how we got to this place, and we're not going to talk about that the past in that way,
Hmm.
but when you look at it taking time to transform the mindset
Hmm.
of the consumption of Americans, how do you, knowing that it takes 80 to 100 years, how do you think we today, because I've seen a little bit of the culture changing, growing up in rural America,
Hmm.
that I know how to plant a garden. We had those gardens every summer. You cook the food just enough, put it in the freezer, eat it over
Hmm.
the winter time. So we had that ant mentality and not the grasshopper, just going out and spending everything. So looking at that metaphorically, the ants go out and save, 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 and then save for a rainy day, and then the grasshopper goes out, party, drinks it up, and
Hmm.
and what do you think that we can do now that we weren't doing maybe 5, 10 years ago? Well, since before COVID, we'll talk about that in that regard, because that's where we are here outside of the years outside of having the COVID, the after 100 years that pandemic happened. And so then it changed the way that we view things, it changed the way that we act. And now people are like buying the planters and planting their own foods. There's food scarcity in communities. And so now it's like, oh, well, let me just go ahead and do it myself. Well, what does that mean for the parallel economy, for consumption, for those who are participating, and then for those who don't, just will continue to go out and spend?
It means absolutely nothing. Right now, we blame a lot of things on the pandemic for slowing down things, but it did. But our behavior patterns did not necessarily change uh, post pandemic. We still do the exact same thing. There's our MPC did not change. That it is what it is. Our current trajectory, just like I think it was, well, I ain't no think to it. I was listening to Dr. Claude Anderson, and Dr. Claude Anderson is my senior. So anybody, anytime you hear me talk, I will never disrespect my seniors because out of just sheer respect for them, even if I don't agree with it. But Dr. Claude Anderson pointed out that we will become a permanent underclass. Now, based on the things that he was going through, it can sometimes motivate you. Like we was talking about research earlier. If it's research that supports what you're doing, confirmational bias, no matter how great you are, you're going to do your research that way. He thought that the permanent underclass originally was going to become around about 2015, but there were several factors that he did not take in consideration, and he did use the factor of race. We need to remove that as a underlying factor as to the problems that we're having, because it is not. But the reason why we're moving to a permanent underclass has very many other factors associated with it. One is that white Americans, as they go older and older, they are totally disassociating themselves from the fact that they care about how we feel. And the way we present how we feel to them makes it kind of irritating in a way, because it comes over like you owe me. And then they'll turn around and say 95% of us, my ancestors, if you're just gonna throw all us white people together, never owned a slave. So I'm not doing anything for you. And then you have other minorities that come over. We're talking about what coming over from the border and things of that nature, taking your jobs, and we made a big deal. That ain't kind of my job. Yes, it is. Okay, we don't need no competition. And so when they came over, we looking at just the Hispanic aspect of it. We're not looking at everybody else that comes over, including other Black migrants, immigrants. Uh, you have to understand, when people immigrate to this country, they left a country where all the people kind of look like them. They talk like them. They got the same language as them. They have the same cultural values as they do. But
Mhm.
for some reason, they decided to come where We're telling them this is the worst place in America. And we got a Muslim organization yelling death to America and then saying that racism is the biggest problem, but they still come.
Yeah, and why is that mindset
Yeah,
there?
the mindset is there because they're looking at the reality of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there is nothing that a black person can't do that a white person can't do, and vice versa. We're looking at, well, the white man always gonna be holding us down. It man not holding you down. If it's in his best interest to hold you up, he will hold you up. There's a need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the inability to easily replace you. That determines where you work. If DEI does not work in sports, guess what? It does not work anywhere. You either have the merit to get the job done, and trust me, you got white Americans who will sell out their best friend and their mother and their father for whatever inheritance they're supposed to get. If you can make them some money, they're going to select you. It was just like when we say that women make a certain percentage that men do. If that was the case, you would just hire women. You don't take in consideration any variables whatsoever when you do your math. But everybody keep yelling, the math ain't mathing, when 89% of us as Black Americans are mathematically illiterate. If we don't take responsibility of what our real problems are and then show some accountability for it, then we're headed in a very, very unfavorable place. And I'm here to tell you right now, we're not going to change.
Well, is the education system broken in the sense that there's 89% of Black Americans that are mathematically illiterate? Because for me, I grew up and it's like math, it was like a challenge for me. But then I didn't realize and pinpoint, okay, what space and place and time that I experienced not getting what I needed to have an enjoyment about math and like math. Now, as I've gotten older, it was like, oh man, I need to be able to look at those numbers and be able to count out loud, and people don't even count money back to you these days like they did back in the old days. So that was like a skill that a lot of people developed being in retail. So when I was in retail, it's like, oh yeah, this is how you count back. But I know that I learned those things at home. I didn't learn those things in the public school system.
Well, I wouldn't say that you have a broken school system. I would just say that, and which is not perfect. Okay. Read, writing, and comprehending. And when a person does that, then they take on various situations. And one of the situations that they take on, they just want to listen to somebody else and they don't want to follow none of the data. I heard Roland Martin the other day, and it's about 3 years old, because I was looking at some things about crypto, and I was looking at some things about how Hill Harper was talking about dollar cost averaging and buying a little bit of the kosher, that's some goofy shit too. But the point is that I heard while he was talking to Roland Martin, and his whole mindset, Roland Martin, is so left leaning that it's difficult to get a genuine conversation out of him. But he said that here it is. McDonald's, I think, because Brian Allen was suing McDonald's, and he was saying that McDonald's gets 40% of its revenue just from Black Americans, and they only have 2% of their advertisement going to Black media. And we should demand, okay, so first of all, let's stop that. If I make you a hamburger, you like it, you like my fries, you like my soda, I say it's this price, then you buy it, I don't owe you shit else. Okay. If I do anything else, I'm just being nice. But what I owed you was proper customer service. I owed you a proper product that you could consume and enjoy. That's the extent of our relationship. And I'm not going to do that for you unless you pay me. So that for that exchange, that's the way that goes.
That's business 101.
Right. So the part that I need to come back and give you something, no, I don't. I gave you what you asked for. So, but let's just say that the majority of my business will come from you. 40% of my multi-billion-dollar business is coming from Black people. Now, I'm gonna tell you when you don't understand math and how it works. In the research that justified that, and Brian, what's his name? Brian Allen,
Byron.
Byron Allen, whatever the fucking name is. Anyway, he helped to push that. And then here comes Roland Martin pushing it on out to his platform. Everybody, oh, that shit don't make no sense. Okay, basic math, 40% of their revenue. Basic math, we make up 13% of their population. What they asked them was, how often you eat out? And 40% of them said, we eat fast food. We eat fast foods at least a few times a week. Out of that 40%, 18% chose McDonald's, which was higher than Starbucks at 6% and what's the name of it? Wendy's at 6%. I don't know what Burger King was. Now, it wasn't 18% of the 42, but it's 18% of the 42. It wasn't 18, like, let me take 18% out of 42 and then leave the rest of it. No, it's 18% of 42. That's a big difference. Not only to mention this, when they asked the same question to white Americans, and it was 37%. So you quite naturally, if you don't know anything about math, said, oh, 37% come from whites. We do 42%, Greg. So what are you talking about? 37% coming from whites is they are 5 times larger population than we are. So let me just round the math up for you. Let's just make the 20% of the 42 point blank. The question is 20% of 48 million more than, let's say, 15% of 160 million. You're not spending the majority of the money. You're not the bulk of their money. Let me break something down to you right now so that everybody gets some with all the financial literacy and everything else that they got to go on right now. Right now, the United States has a GDP of $28 trillion. Okay, the largest in the world. They support the most powerful military in the world, despite all this little extra stuff you're hearing for China. Most powerful military in the world. And they have over $170 trillion in wealth. Okay? Now, what would happen if we disappeared? Like, we just gone. Black folks just gone. This is what happened. They still maintain $170 trillion in wealth. Okay, that's first. The GDP drops down to somewhere in the neighborhood about 25.5 or $25.75 trillion a year. Okay. They still the largest GDP in the world. All right. They would end unemployment as we know it. They will reduce $400 billion a year from their entitlement and transfer payment program. They will lose from the $4.4 trillion that they receive in annual taxes. They're going to lose about $250 to $300 billion of it. Black folks really shouldn't get caught up in no tax talking shit whatsoever. We make more money than we pay in. And so with that being said, the only thing that we pick a nice little chunk out of, they lose 17% of their military. But it's still going to be the dominant military power. We don't need to over-assess. Now, that's just saying if we wasn't here. Okay? So all this, the world going to collapse without us, all that's bullshit. Okay? And that's what everybody else knows. So people tell you, now you won't have, it'll be a different NBA. It'll be a different NFL. But shit, everybody else that's got things they rooting for and got us in it. You know, ain't gonna do shit for golf.
I know, and the baseball game's not gonna change either.
Baseball game ain't gonna change either. So what we're looking at is that we have to understand that we are Americans. So we shouldn't want to separate totally from that. But because of the system that we help create, does marginalize us more than it should. And that's the reason why we have to have a parallel economy to offset this. We're not going to stop from becoming a permanent underclass in 30 years, nor with a zero collective wealth in 30 years. We're not going to stop that.
Well,
unless we have something else in place.
well, is it marketing that, we get in the community? I mean, that's driving the spending or the consumption. It because if you're saying on one hand, it's like, oh, well, they don't even market to us, but we buy it anyway. That's what I interpreted from what you shared. But where does it really? Where's the origin of all of this consumption coming from?
Well,
Well, in your research and in what you've come about, and what's going to change the behavior? What is it going to take to change the behaviors? Because I talked about being frugal on a Friday, back when they're like, oh, stop spending this day, Black Friday, and all
mhm.
of this, and don't spend, don't spend. But then when you're thinking about not spending, if you're not spending this direction, you're going to be circulating money another direction. So it's just a revolving door, but it's all about choices from my perspective. What do you think?
Cultural situations are not necessarily choice based. They appear to be. They had they did a study once, and they had four of the five people were part of the study. There was only one person that wasn't, and he was really the person they was scared of. They showed them different pictures, whereas that the pictures had a certain lines at a certain length. All the four people were going to pick the wrong one. The fifth one knew the right one. And everybody like, wow, 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 how'd you do this? And they kept going. And then by the time around about the fourth or fifth picture, he started picking the wrong stuff along with them. Even though he knew better, he started picking the wrong stuff along with them.
Oh, psychology 101.
Yes. It's just like if you put five monkeys in a cage and put the bananas at the top, and when the monkeys go for the bananas, you hose them down with water. After a while, some of the monkeys gonna get tired of that cold water on them, but there's always that one motherfucker that's still gonna try to go get it, and then all of them beat him. Okay, and then they take one monkey out and they put a new monkey in. When a new monkey see that going up there, the new monkey gets ready to go up to get it, and everybody beat him. New monkey never experienced the water, but everybody beat him. You don't know why he getting beat, but you know if he go up there, he gonna get beat. Now the other four monkeys know that why they beat him, so they move another monkey out. Now you got two monkeys in there that never seen the water being poured on them. The new monkey gets ready to go on. The other four monkeys, including the monkey that's been getting beat, that don't know why he beating him, but you can't go get the bananas. They continued that until they had five brand new monkeys in there, and they still was beating the shit out of each other to keep from going up there to get that banana, and nobody knew why. That's psychology. That's why I say that economics is a science. Economics is not about just spending money. It's about consumer behavior. So we're not going to stop that. As people say, oh, we can change. No, you're not. You're not. Just leave it alone. You're not. So we're going to have to figure out how to continue doing what we're doing, and then figuring out a way where it's that benefits us still. People will tell you black dollar need to circulate. Now, Dr. Jerry Ball said that we don't have any money. We do have money.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all a lie. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
we
all
do
false.
have money. So you will get one group to tell you that we got $1.9 trillion in spending power. That same group will sit right there amongst other professionals on national TV, and they'll say yes when you say, if we were a country, that would make us the seventh largest country in the world. Okay, that's bullshit. Okay, GDP has nothing to do with purchasing power. Purchasing power, and most people won't even tell you where the money comes from. I'm gonna tell you where the money comes from. Okay, you got $1 trillion of that comes from wages and salaries. Okay, from the 20 million people that work. You got $400 billion of that comes from entitlement programs. Now, a lot of people don't want to appreciate. Let me digress just a little bit on this entitlement program situation. A lot of people don't understand how much money their government invests in them. The average recipient receives somewhere in the neighborhood of $250,000 to $500,000 every decade. Just free money. We act like we don't. We don't see it. Entitlement programs you don't see, because if I give you $1,000 worth a month worth of food stamps, it's designed for food. You didn't go to the movies with it. You didn't buy no clothes with it. So you getting free food mentally. Therefore, you don't even look at that as $12,000 a year.
Right.
Same goes for every program, whether it's for housing or whatever the case might be, because you didn't see it. I live here. Oh, it costs that much? I never feel it. But the person next door to you feel it because they paying all of it.
Right. Yeah.
So you're getting the $400 billion in that. And then you'll turn around, and a lot of people don't realize that your next chunk of money comes from your hustling. It's $300 million. $300 billion a year comes from going out and hustling. A lot of people consider your hustle as in prostitution, illegal gambling, or drugs. No, that's not your hustle. My deck need to be fixed, and you know how to fix it. You come over and you fix it. I pay you straight cash. Hustle money is classified as non-taxable money, or money that you voluntarily did not pay, report in taxes. That's $300 billion a year that we do it, and we do it better than anybody else in the shadow economy. Then you got another $240 billion that you get from business. Now, the killing thing about that is there's 3.6 million businesses in the United States, Black businesses. Out of that 3.6, 160,000 of those control the vast majority of that $240 billion. 160 billion of that is controlled by just 167,000 businesses. That leaves the other 3.5 million businesses, or 3.4 million and some change businesses, to compete for the other $80 billion, which comes out to be a little less than $23,000 a year per business. Our failure rate is at 80% within the first 18 months. And for John Hope Bryant to say we need to put another million businesses in there is not a clear understanding of the full market structure that we already have.
Wow. So I just heard what you said,
Mhm.
but it's like whenever you're talking the bigger numbers,
Mhm.
it's like, oh my gosh, that's wild. So can you just bring it in for those in the back that need that smaller number to figure this out for themselves and know what the heck are you talking about and how does it affect me personally? Because I'm that person that goes out and get my hustle on. And I'm the person who, go out and I may not get a W-2, I may not get a 1099, but that person I figure out how to feed my family.
And we do that very well. But at $1.9 trillion, that means that, and it's only 18 million households. That means an average of over $100,000 a year. The vast majority of it is not counted. You only count the taxable.
Right.
Which means your Social Security, your transfer payments, your tax credits, none of that is counted. And all that is still money. Because if you did not have money, people get on you about buying product, but guess what? You bought it. They can get on you about buying Gucci, but guess what? You bought it.
Right.
Money, you bought it. Where'd you get the money for if you're so poor? The thing that people need to understand is that because we have the highest consumption rate of any other race, we cannot expect the same outcome that we see with other races. Okay, give you an example. The MPC for Asians is 0.60 to 0.65. Okay, I can tell you right now, I don't want to live that boring. Life not promised. Okay, we know that life's not promised, so we act accordingly. But we're under some impression that we don't spend enough money with the Black business. 80% of the money that Black businesses get come from Black people. This is the other thing. Because their businesses don't scale, they cannot meet consumer demand. If I want a Sunday cooked meal, and I want me some dressing, I want me some yams, I want me some greens, and I come to you and you say, I make wings. But why you not selling dressing, yams? That's not what I do. I sell wings. You need to go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So then we go to that place, and then we got some Yahoo that don't want Sunday dinner. He wants some wings. So if the business is scalable, then they have the wings and everything else we have. If the business is not scalable, they only have certain situations. So we go to certain other places. That's what I mean. Your business is not scalable. Those 3+ million businesses are not scalable. As a result, you're only going to get the money that's available to you. So what happens to Black people? Well, what happens to black people that still got their consumption? Oh, you go spend with the white man. The white man who does what? Hire the black worker.
Yes.
You totally different. We need to go against Walmart. Walmart said, okay, I got about 15 to 17% of my employees black. That's over the per capita now. You go, you do what you want to do. If you think for a moment that you're not buying from me, and then you go to Target, but you're mad at Target. So where are you spending your money? Because guess what? I know you're going to spend it if I'm Walmart. And if I really want to punish you, fine, do that. I'm going to raise everything a dime. You won't even see it. I just made a killing. You're not in a winning position to go up against them. You have to have a parallel economy that actually works. And you have to build that parallel economy, not the separate economy that goes along with the primary economy and work in tandem with it, but it has certain benefits that the primary economy does not. And that's what people fail to realize. We ask everybody to make a change based on discretionary disposable income. We never talk to them about NNDI. That's non-negotiable disposable income. Everybody spends NNDI in the United States. Every culture does that because that's infrastructure money.
Right.
You could talk about everybody eating Chinese food and the Chinese people eat with the Chinese. Okay, if they want to eat no fucking McDonald's, that's on them. But guess what? They make their Chinese food available to you. Are you making your soul food available to them? Are they blocking us out from that? That means they don't want your shit because if they want it, they're going to come get it. They don't have to block out. You can be right there on the outskirts. Boom, here I am. Guess what? They're going to come over there if they want it. We have to present products that they want. And see, None of this is going to happen. Not before we become a permanent underclass. And a lot of people don't say, well, ain't we already there? Nah, we're not there because all the real numbers are still being hidden from you. We jump up and lose our mind about 44 trans people getting killed. And then that's a weekend at Barney's for us, for black men. We'll see black men die anywhere between 36.6 to 48.6 per 100,000. And then we'll say, oh, well, we got to stop the racism from the police. Do you know when I did 1 year at 36.6, and I looked at the number of unarmed people that the police had killed, that number drops from 36.6 to 35.954. We raise a whole situation based on a 0.6 and don't do nothing about the 36. And so you can say what you want to say about that, but a permanent underclass more than doubles that number. You can say what you want to say about how, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. That's at the mercy of the people of the street that's trying to kill you. And they kill people that look like us all the time. That's the road rages increases, the robberies increases, the violence on the crime increases. And all of a sudden, what you were saying about the police that does not pass any scrutiny math test is going to be there. And it's going to be real. So to prevent all that from happening, I can't wait on black people to wake up. I can't wait on people who make too much of a profit on keeping them with the same mentality. I can't wait on that. I have to get the job done. Because if I don't get the job done, then the things that I love will be sacrificed. And that's what people fail to realize. People talk about they love their children. They talk about they love their love. They're not going to do anything to stop the people that take them from you. And it ain't the fucking police. So you have to create a system, whereas that blacks can now become prosperous, more prosperous than they could, even with getting reparations. That's what I designed. And I don't need unity. I don't need the buy-in from a lot of people, because right now in this country, 105,130 white men control this country, every aspect of it. So you can do the same thing with the same number of people, especially if you do it strategically in geographical area. So that's a whole nother story, but I'm just letting you know that financial literacy, as much as we're going to have it, is not going to make a difference. And I'm not trying to be pessimistic, because financial literacy has been around for 50 years that I know blacks been able to do financial literacy. We have a large portion of us right now that understand finances. This is the problem that we don't. We only have 11% that understand math. We only have 4% that understand some aspects of, true aspects of economics. 3% that understand aspects of science, and less than 2% that understand monetary policy. So this whole thing about credit, and I got to give it to John Hope, Brian, let me get your credit score up an extra 100 points. Because what I see in a 500 credit score place and what I see in a 600 credit score place right down the street is an entirely different situation, and blah, 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 blah. That's bullshit. Okay. You're living down there to 500 because that's all the money you got. Your credit ain't going to make it no better.
Well, yeah, because the credit score and how that scoring system works, it's a science to that. And no matter if you've got a good credit score, you still won't be extended certain credits because your income doesn't match up with the amount of credit that you're seeking to obtain. So it's like you can be in the 700 club, 800 club, but if your debt that you are holding on to is greater than 50%, what's the credit score going to do?
I admire the concept of the credit score increase. If you're going to be in debt with a higher credit score, you got a lower interest rate. So then that can save millions, even billions of dollars from going out. But somewhere in the neighborhood of 60% of the people who improve their credit, they end back up in the same place within a year.
Right.
So all of this is not saying that it's not necessary, not saying that we don't need to be moving in those directions. What I'm saying is that that's not going to fix the problem because it can't. There's no creativity. When the last time you seen something creative that comes from us? I mean, everybody want to do something. I need to go like John Hope Bryan said, well, we really need to name whatever the bank was, Freedman's Bank. All we need Black Wall Street. All we need the new Black Wall Street. All we need the Tulsa Investment Fund. All we need the Greenwood Bank. These guys need to grow a set of them and start saying we need to set history situations where people will talk about what we did in history. We're talking about things that happened during the Second Industrial Revolution. None of that applies anymore. You need to move on from that. So that's what I mean by nostalgia and optics, and everybody get excited. You should have heard all that. Thank you, King, and da 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 da. And when they weren't saying nothing.
But when it gets right down to where the rubber meets the road for the individual person, what is it just one thing that you would say that we need to do to help ourselves in this economy? And had to have to be part of the parallel economy, besides tuning in to alfarianempire.org.
Okay, the one thing that I would tell a person that they should do, that they can possibly do, is work on their social credit standing, meaning that work on yourself to prevent the anger, because somebody else is going to have to work on a monetary situation for you. Somebody know what they're doing in order to get everything established for you. That's the professional that you need to help you with that. You can work on yourself. Work on taking out the simple time to spend with your children. That will help out a lot. That screaming, hollering, road rage, blaming everybody. You spent the time just loving your child and wanting a better place for your child. Then let us do the rest. And I'm gonna close it with saying, somebody said, when was America great? For America, the country, was great between 1948 and 1973. Between 1948 and 1973, we had what you call the golden age of capitalism, where a person could work a regular job and create wealth. We need to have something else that occurs like that. What did that mean for Black people? Well, that was the time where we had the civil rights movement. That was the time we made a lot of push for equality and things of that nature. That was a time when America reflected back on itself. That was a time where we did get access to the GI Bill that we deserved the whole time. How did we perform? We outperformed whites, meaning that whites went up from 50% home ownership to 70%, a 20-point gain. We went from 20 to over 40. That's over 100-point gain, 100% gain. So they percent that there was a 20-point gain just like them, or 20 point better, but it was 100%. So what's stopped us? Everything that stopped in 1973, we get started picking up on robotics, manufacturing situations no longer. Technology. Technology changes every 18 months.
Right
We
now,
have
AI
to
is
embrace it.
right now AI is the big technology boom
And
change.
the mistake that we're making is not embracing that and doing things that go along with fixing that. But the other mistake that we're making, and this is even bigger than AI, we're not doing any more skills.
Mm.
Professional skills and certification for professional skills is outpacing AI as being a needed product to move forward. You ain't got plumbers, you ain't got electricians, you ain't got HVC. All of those people are dying. That's what's dying out. For
Yes.
every so that's at a ratio at 2 to 5. For every two that die off, we're replacing the two. But I mean, excuse me, for every five that dying out, we're replacing the two. We still
Yes.
got three. We still go, and it pays just as much, if not more, money than AI. People are not going to go to college like they used to study for certain things. I believe that if you have a certification, and I saw a plane crash one time. They had a plane crash. It wasn't nice, but it was a military plane. And the
Hmm.
people that put everything on the plane, it was just one thing on the plane, a Humvee that snapped and hit the right spot to mess up the hydraulics and crash the plane on takeoff. They
Wow.
now want people in the military to be certified on how to pack, and secure the plane. Now, this is what I'm saying about that. Me teaching you that certification situation may take 8 months to a year to get it. Maybe a year and a half, and we got other aspects to it. What it doesn't take is 4 years. And I'm a big advocate for education. Big
Yeah.
advocate for education. But I don't think that we need to be moving into educational area. Like for instance, I want to go to school and I want to take Black American studies. Okay, good fucking luck to you with that. Okay. Yeah, what you want to do, go ahead on. But don't expect me to want to say you need to get forgiven for the loan that you got. Okay. Now I'm gonna say something that's real unpopular. The vast majority of the BCUs need to convert over to schools, whereas that we prep schools. I believe that if you would turn those into prep schools, you have a lot more advanced situation. And the reason why I'm saying that is this: if I go to a HBCU again, that's for optics, school costs me more money. It has less graduates, and I'm talking about just black to black. Has less graduates and has about 10 to 15% less income levels from coming out of this school when they come to get a job. Now I could be a black person in a predominantly white school. One advantage that I got is that at least I know how white people act. I know how Asian people act.
Well, I'm a product of HBCU, Harrisville State University in St. Louis, Missouri, and the preparatory school that was at that time was educators. So the HBCU was one of the top HBCUs to have people graduating with an education degree that who became an educator. And I went for business naturally, but there was still that type of situation. But then they have now opened it up to, more
But even if we want to look
education
at the
platform.
educator aspect of it,
Yeah.
educators are protected by the what's the name of it? The union, the teachers union. That
In
simply
some,
means that if you're a good teacher and I'm a bad teacher, we still get paid the same thing. All that shit needs to change. It's gonna take an act of Congress. As long as I don't touch a child, I'm talking about sexually, and I might have been gonna slap the hell out of one of them, but as long as I ain't sexually touching children, shit. I ain't worried about my job. You might not let me in a classroom, but you ain't gonna fire me.
yeah, they
All
used
that
to
needs to
paddle.
change.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
used to paddle
I mean,
back
I
in my
got paddled when I was in school and I was cool with it. That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. I don't know what's wrong with the kids and the parents now, but did nothing break me. I love my teacher. And I loved the ones that paddled. We laughed about it afterwards. I mean, like, I don't know what's wrong with people now. But the point that I'm trying to make, because I'm digressing. The
That's
point that
yeah,
I'm
that's
trying to
the
make
new it's the new world from where
is
we
that
come from for sure.
if we do not reestablish ourselves real quick, we're gonna have some major problems. Now, one of the biggest uh, things that people say about the Alfarian Empire is that I promote black male masculinity, and I promote the reestablishment of the black male patriarchy. And I do that based on data, and I do that based on what black males are uh, facing right now. If a if you would have noticed that in any act of nature, when a male acts up, they send a bull. They like, for instance, if they had an elephant in one of the reserve parks that was out there killing the rhinos.
Mm.
So because he was going through muss, so they sent another older male elephant out there to put him in line, and that's what happened. We have to have situations right now. Our men are absolutely too feminine. They're too emotional. And even though women don't want to admit it, they are very, very dangerous to women. Women are not men. These are very dangerous. You cannot mix bitch with testosterone. That's testosterone, and that's very, very dangerous. A woman to get married and then break your window out. This guy gonna shoot your house up. That needs to be controlled. Dying at the rate that we're dying, and nobody acts like this happened. Nobody acts like it's happened. The closest thing to us, I mean, like, if we were to look at the entire population of trans, they die at a rate of 1.68 per 100,000. That's less than white women. We die at a rate 30 times that, and nobody says anything. 10 times greater than white men, and our black women are dying on the same pace rate as white men, slightly higher. Our children, and I'm talking about children, I ain't talking about the little 14-year-old trigger happy. I'm talking about the babies. Our children 12 and under are dying by homicide at a higher rate than police officers do in the line of duty. This is insane.
That
No
is.
one is saying anything about that. And
But
then
who is the person who's supposed to say something about it? But I'm so glad that you're here saying something about it because we don't hear it anywhere else.
you're not going to hear it anywhere else because women, one, are a large consumer base. You look at the movies that you're looking at, all your superhero movies, you got women, and don't get me wrong, some of them I love some of these movies, but you got women, and I just put the woman king as an example. Okay, that was well done. I mean, they went up against men, they kicked ass, but they went with some real men, and it didn't work out for them like that. It was kind of realistic on some aspect. The point that I'm making is that we spend so much time trying to make women equal to men in every aspect that women have gotten to the point where they don't need a man. And then they male child, they raise him to not want to be one. That is a major problem. I'm not blaming because I'm not blaming single mothers because they things that single mothers have to do. I'm not doing that at all. Because if a single mother, and I can tell you this, if a single mother decide to stay within her essence and her femininity and got a male child, that male child will die protecting her. That male child will respect women in a way you've never seen before. She don't have to be mama and daddy. She simply has to be mama. Every male child that grew up in the 70s are under that impression. They make excellent husbands. They took care of their mamas, things of that nature. But the minute the mama that bad mouth the dad, that says she don't need a man, but running several of them through the house and everything. Sisters acting all kinds of ways, especially if the sister was the older one. These gonna be some soft ass men.
Well, Greg, your perspective is very unique, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who share your same views. And I know that the information that you've shared has come with massive research behind it, and the numbers are great, and the psychology speaks for itself. And I thank you so much for being part of Power Fridays Live and sharing
Mm-hmm.
with us on this National Financial Literacy Awareness Month
Mm-hmm.
episode, because when it comes to economics, when it comes to social behavior, as you shared, when it comes to spending the dollar and the American dollar, I should say, and knowing and understanding how you fit into the whole economics of the situation, you've really opened up my eyes to, and I'm sure a lot of people listening, they are like wanting to know more. Like,
Okay.
where do you get this from? Well, where are you getting this? And the information is out there, and I'm glad that you took the time to research it and come up with the numbers that you came up with, because the math, it does math at the end of the
Hmm.
day. The math is simple.
Hmm.
And I thank you so much for sharing that with us today. And alfarianempire.org, is that the best way to reach you?
Yeah, I mean, right now, what we're doing is we're checking the analytics on the website, see where the people are landing, because it's so much that's on the website pertaining to creating a parallel economy, because that requires you creating another market structure, that requires you creating another monetary system. It requires a lot, and so um, we really, I mean, people can probably send me a message, but for right now, we just checking the analytics before we start marketing, and but that is the best place to reach me.
Well, I thank you so much for giving me the sneak peek today. As they say, the exclusive here
Okay.
on Power Fridays Live, where be, do, and have the greatness that you desire, because the greatness is in you. I hope you've learned something valuable today. And if you have any questions, please do reach out and go to alfarianempire.org. And as always, you can subscribe, like, and share this episode. Chop it up if you want to. Share it, reel it out. Subscribe at Power Fridays Live. Thank you for joining us, and have a great
Okay.
weekend, everyone. Take care and be blessed.
Okay.